the night, bump in the night. Did you hear a bump in the night? Bump in the night, bump in the night. Bump in the night, bump in the night. Did you hear a bump in the night? Bump in the night, bump in the night.
Welcome to Bump in the Night Society presents Exploring Your Society. I'm your host, Sean Diamond.
And I'm your co-host, Phil K.
Today we have Big Ed Buettner with us.
Whoop, whoop.
What's up?
How you doing this evening, man?
Doing great. So, okay, first thing is I do love the intro music, right? But I've told your wife, Jean, that I said, you guys missed the boat. You could almost have, bump in the night, bump in the night. Hi ho the Dario, bump in the night. Sing it down, man. Get you and Jen just wear those little straw hats and be chewing a little straw there.
We'll make a TikTok out of it.
Don't tell Jen, she will do that. She's the queen of TikTok.
Oh, that's so funny. Oh,
I'm sure she'll be on here at some point too, commenting too. I know she's gonna watch. She's upstairs though, but
nice.
Gotcha.
So, Big Ed, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
What about myself? I'm a fat guy that likes music and just have fun. So, for a long time, I DJ'd full time, and it was kind of cool too with my career because I ran a DJ supply stores. It was kind of cool. It was a lucrative business. We sold equipment to all of our competitors, but it was cool because we did sound, video, lighting, that kind of stuff. Did a lot of installs, whether it was nightclubs, churches, you name it. Had a chance to meet a lot of cool different style DJs, whether it was a country style DJ, Latin, merengue, that kind of stuff, the more of the hip hop style, or just more of your mobile disc jockeys like I am. So it's kind of cool. But then over time, man, you're working every single weekend. You're booked solid for a year and a half, 2 years out. It's just crazy. And it eventually got to me. So, went ahead and started working for Access, Airstar Access. Ooh, bad. That's all I got to say. So, the whole entire time while this is going on, I was actually DJing for PA Connecting Communities, and they kept on saying, "Hey, why don't you just come? Why don't you come on over?" Eventually, I got tired of working at Access, and I said, "You know what? I'm still DJing, just on a fun part-time basis. Why not? I'll go and try to check out this, special needs organization." Haven't looked back ever since, man. I get a chance to basically during the day just be a big kid, go out and do all these cool things and check out all these cool places. Still DJ on the weekends a little bit, but not nearly as much. And yeah, it's kind of cool. Oh, and this is the funny thing, since I'm on a paranormal show, I also run a ministry. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
So, which is also kind of cool. So, since music's big for me, we got holy hip hop artists, crunk dancers, heavy metal artists.
Nice.
And we just go out and deliver the message in a cool, fun kind of way. And I love it, man. So I keep myself pretty active that way. And that's it. That's me.
That's awesome, man. You mentioned heavy metal, and that's right up my alley, dude. Love it.
Rock on, man.
Yeah, love it, dude. Been a diehard fan of the genre since I was 12.
Nice.
24 years ago, so praise.
All right, so what were some of your original metal artists?
Oh, geez. Metallica, Slipknot, Iron Maiden, Sabbath, Slayer. Even the heavier stuff like Cannibal Corpse.
Okay. So yeah, I was kind of saying Megadeth, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica, definitely.
Oh yeah.
But now I don't know if you want to consider me a connoisseur of Metallica, because I know anything after the Black Album I was not a big fan of. Load, Reload, no. It's got a load in your pants. But no, Black, Injustice for All, Master of Puppets, that kind of stuff, Ride the Lightning, that stuff I like. Definitely diehard Metallica fan. Been there been to several of their concerts.
Lucky.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. You know what's funny, though? They would always start off their concerts with that what's that one Mexican beer that you always see on the commercials?
Modelo.
Modelo.
Okay.
Yes.
The song they play for that commercial is what they would always start off the Metallica show with.
Oh, that's cool.
So whenever I heard this, whenever Modelo started playing that, I'm like, dude, that's awesome.
Man. I love that shit. Love it, man.
See, I grew up more on rap or whatever. Like I like rocking that now, but like growing up from like through high school was all rap pretty much.
Karma, good evening, dear.
See, now I'm into all the old school. Well, when I started getting into the DJing, that's kind of when I really got into the hip hop. But it was always more of the dance R&B hip hop, So, and even still to this day, I guess artists like hip hop that wasn't really danceable that I got into was more like Snoop Dogg or Dre.
Yeah.
But outside of that, that's kind of where my limitations are when it comes to that stuff.
Oh yeah. But, actually, funny how you mentioned that too, because my first introduction to a rap concert was with Sean and his wife Jen. We went to see Tech Nine, and that was one of the best shows I literally have ever been to in my entire life.
He does some metal though too, so
he
that's
does.
definitely up your alley.
I was gonna say.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, and that was actually the first show I kind of had to like look down because the bass was so heavy. It started to kind of feel like too much.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I got a friend. Now he's definitely all hip hop, but his name is Soda Pop Kid. The reason why I'm going that way because that's how he talks. And, now Soda Pop Kid is truly one of those OGs, and he even calls himself an OG.
Yeah.
But so Soda Pop Kid, as a matter of fact, with me doing work with PACC, I'm supposed to do some different stuff with like group tours, and I got him coming down. We're trying to do something in May, because now he has this Oldsmobile like from the early 80s. Okay, now this Oldsmobile though, I mean, is reinforced. The door is solid, like hardcore wood, strapped with this crazy metal. The windows are like, I don't know, like that thick of plexiglass. And he does competition sound systems. Okay.
Yeah.
And definitely for the bass. I mean, he calls himself like a bass head. And so if you look underneath the hood, there's like 6 alternators, like 6 batteries. It's just insane. You'll see like the images where they're behind him, where the back seat would be, is all these, subwoofers, but there's like these massive bolts like that big holding this thing into place. And so it's cool as ever. And he'll do these sound competitions. But then in addition, he'll like just chill out and go like to like a different auto parts store and say, hey man, you want to go and check this out? And he does these demos where they can just walk in. And the idea is they'll sit in to the car, and it's how long can you last with the bass? And I've always wanted to experience that, but on the same token, I'm like, I don't know, man. I got a weak heart, because I mean, you've seen them literally get sick, because of how much bass is pounding them. So,
well, that's like, I don't know if you remember from my wedding, but the one guy who got in a fight at my wedding.
I've heard about it. I didn't witness it, but I heard about it.
Well, he used to, like, I've known him since high school. He used to drive a Plymouth Horizon, and he had 2 12s with like an amp in it. That thing would like the system was worth more than his car was.
Oh, jeez. It was crazy. I was actually reading one of our friends' comments, how she mentioned that like there was a hip hop friend of hers that was actually having a seizure, and she thought that they were breakdancing. That's insane.
Oh man!
Oh Lord,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
God, that's nuts.
Oh man! No, you're mentioning about the showing my age here. So I never got into any of that stuff, but my cousin, I'll never forget, he had a beat up Ford Escort. He had an Alpine system in it back in the 90s. And our big thing was going up and down Corrigan Drive in South Park. Okay. Blasting, and I'll never forget. That's one of the reasons why I loved Regulator.
I'm an idiot.
We would just play Regulator nonstop.
I have it. I have lyrics tattooed on my arm from Regulator.
Well, I mean, we thought we were like, the badass or something. And it was funny because the whole entire car is rattling. It's got like rust coming off of it and everything. But we would blast it, man. It was just so much fun. But of course, we had another sinister plot to it as well. While we were driving up and down Oregon Drive, playing Regulator through his system, we built our own little potato guns. And
that's cool.
Sadly, or I don't know, go ahead. This is the old me. Hold on, this is the old me. Okay, the old me potato guns.
I know somebody. I had a friend who lived in Hazelwood. He shot out a car window with a potato gun. I got arrested for it.
Oh, jeez.
Back when I was in high school.
That's actually kind of funny. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, me and Jen rapped Regulate It at Sleepy Hollow or whatever. We did the karaoke there. Which do you do karaoke at all, Big Ed?
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Nice, I gotta hear that.
Hold on, though. So I don't do bars or nightclubs anymore. Used to a long time ago, but when I kind of, gave my life to the Lord, I said I'm not doing that stuff. With that said, do I have like every single brand new song on karaoke? No. What I usually do is twice a year, I go and say, okay, give me, here's the top 20 big songs that made it on radio. So like right now, if I had to like do karaoke songs, I'm going to go for the new downloads. I'm trying to think here real quick. The new Lizzo song, that kind of stuff. All right. Any new country stuff. Okay. Here we go. I'll put it on my hard drive, and that's it. Now, with that said, I got about 60,000 karaoke titles. Okay, which I mean, so that encompasses from the 1950s through today. So most of your popular songs that you would sing, from Sweet Caroline to Friends in Low Places, that kind of stuff, all your classic stuff. Yeah, I'm going to have, and I usually just basically provide those services. Is not just strictly as a karaoke service, but hey, if you're hiring me for a private party, you're doing a retirement party, something like that, for an extra $150, we can provide the karaoke screen, extra microphones, that kind of stuff. So I kind of use it as more of an add-on as opposed to going out and doing it somewhere at a bar, nightclub, or anything like that.
How often do people bomb certain songs? Like you're like, oh crap, this guy.
Dude, okay. What would they say? I think karaoke in Japanese means like horrible singer, so that's pretty much what it comes down to. I mean, once in a while you do have that gem and you're just like, oh man, girl, man, you gotta be going somewhere with that talent. Okay, and that does happen,
right?
But I'm gonna 98% of the time, it's horrible. It's like, chalk on a chalkboard, or that fork going across like a porcelain plate. It's like, but
if you're drunk, anybody can sing.
That's what it comes down to. Here's my pet peeve. When I was doing sometimes like in a bar or nightclub doing that.
Yeah.
Here's what it came down to. This is what always would shock me. You literally would have people in there, instead of grabbing a beer or whatever, hey, can I have some tea? Like, what? And they're the ones that are trying to impress everybody. Look, and you're not that good of a singer. If you're going to go to the karaoke bar, you're there to just have some fun, hang out with your buds, sing a couple songs. It doesn't matter how bad it is. It's just fun because that's what it's at. It would always shock me, though, when you would have these people who think they should be on, America's Got Talent, and they're so lousy. And they're also the ones that don't really tip the bartenders. They're just grabbing a hot tea. And it's like, no, the whole entire purpose of this is for the bar to make money.
Yes.
So, come on, so, yeah.
I'm not going to name no names, but when we were at Sleepy Hollow, Phil, you remember that one girl that was trying to sing Gangster's Paradise? She sung something, like, it was so bad. Like, the guy started it over, and he was like, oh, why don't we all sing it together with her? So we all, like, did it together. It was just like...
It was bad. It was bad. I mean, I'm not the good singer when it comes to stuff, but even
she didn't know any of the lyrics. That's what the problem was.
Yeah, not to definitely know the lyrics. Yeah, there's no doubt. I've always said there's one song that I can definitely sing for everybody, and they're like, "Well, what is it?" I'm like, "Tequila," because that's, if you think about it, that little cheesy Tequila.
Tequila.
I can sing that for you, no problem.
Oh man.
Can you do the Pee Wee Herman dance too?
Maybe when I was about 150 pounds skinnier, sure. Now you'd be like,
oh, that's funny. Yeah, I'm reading Karma's one comment. The worst ones are where you have the groups try and put people on the guest list turn to short the venue. Oh shit. Yeah, I think whenever we were in Sleepy Hollow, I think I did I thought it was a pretty good rendition of.
I thought it was good.
Voodoo by Godsmack. Since yeah.
voodoo. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And Phil, I mean, it was like a Halloween thing too. So Phil had his face painted and like his hood up and everything.
I looked like a creepy like member of like a satanic purge cult. That's exactly how it was.
I can see it all. I'm not
The
the
one
one
who's
so.
so. It was good. I liked it. I think our buddy Mikey was like, Phil, that was so rough. I'm like,
Then we all did Just a Friend by Biz Markie.
that was
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes. That was sick.
Baby, you. Yeah, when I see that's really that's when you could purposely like do that, do all the crazy, baby, you. Yeah, when I you say you just a friend. Now, honestly, if I have no talent whatsoever, but if I did, I would try to rock out like dance, something like that, Now again, showing my age, man. I'm old,
How old are you?
I'm 40. I'm gonna be 45 here in a couple months.
Wow,
So,
okay, nice.
but no. So I want to say it was called Paparazzi's down in the South Side. It was I think 20th Street in Carson.
Mhm.
My wife and we went there years ago for one of her company parties, and there was this guy, man. They had a band playing there, but the guy would always dress up in the original Humpty outfit, with the plaid shirt.
Did he wear the glasses and the nose too?
He had the glasses and the fake nose, and he nailed it to a T. And that's always stuck with me. And I'm like, man, if I was ever decent at karaoke or something, that's what I'd want to do.
That's
he's
awesome.
just literally, he is running around just having fun with everybody. And I'm like, that is the way to do karaoke.
Yes.
Yeah, I usually always do rap or whatever, but I could do some oldies too, like some Little Red Riding Hood or maybe the Ghost Riders in the Sky or something like that.
Okay.
Depeche Mode's "Enjoy the Silence" has been my go-to song for karaoke now.
Really?
I love Depeche Mode. I don't know what it is about them. They just have that. I don't know. My dad got me into them, and I just never turned it off. It's weird. I know.
Wow. Okay. I never really could get into Depeche Mode a whole lot. That song's okay. I know the one that was really big.
Hell yeah, Karma rocked that age.
Personal Jesus, because they did the whole entire line dance with it and everything. So, okay, that's cool.
Hey, and I look at it this way too. I love the people who they love a certain genre of music, but their voice can fit something completely different. I couldn't sing metal to save my life. I've tried to growl and it sounds awful. So I stick with songs I can actually handle vocally. And
Well, see, I used to have a studio in my house when I used to rap. So we'd have freestyle Fridays and we get up there and rap or do karaoke on stuff, or we've done more metal type stuff and just we were drunk or something half the time anyway, but
I can do it drunk.
Well, I've always wondered how the death metal singers even handle it, because again, I'm a big kid, and so my one client, Sean, you've worked with him before, Andrew, and we just joke around all the time, and so we'll just start saying stuff, and we'll try to say it in a high pitched voice. But then we'll try to go into a low pitch voice, and he gets a kick out of it because I always I'm going to do it for you in a second here, but within 3 seconds, I it just my throat wants to just choke, and trying to do the death metal hold on, I don't want to do it.
This is gonna be
I'm trying
fun.
to gear myself up to do it. You know, and like I don't know how they do it because the throat, it's like that man's got to be sucking down, throat lozenges every single second to handle that, man. And you think about they're doing this night after night after night, all these tours. Like, how do you do it, man? You know?
Well, I know, like from working at Scare House, like with us like screaming and stuff like that all night, they try to teach you to just like use your diaphragm more than like use your throat, so that way you like your voice lasts all night. So I'm guessing it's probably something similar to that.
Maybe, but then it's like I don't know. I mean that kind of stuff I could never get into because I still want to enjoy the music, you know, that kind of stuff. It's just okay. All it is just power chords, you know.
Yeah, I don't know why I like it. Like for me, the heavier, the crazier, the more like you can't understand what they're saying. I don't know why I like that so much. Sometimes it's weird. And I try to like read the lyrics. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. Now, Phil, then, okay, so if you're into that, if you went to the concerts, were you the mosh pit guy or just kind of guy hanging back?
I don't mind mosh pits, but I don't mosh how you should because I don't want to die. So I'll kind of just run. I'll run from like one end of the mosh pit, kind of like bump into people, then kind of like make my way to the other end of the mosh pit. I'm like, yeah, I did it. Because some people don't know how to do it the right way. They want to keep on flailing their arms and everything and kicking and shit. I'm like, no.
See, I've been in one mosh pit before, and that was one too many for me. Like, I can't stand when people are like bumping into me, and like I want to like fight somebody.
That's what eventually it becomes.
Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is, like how you guys just mentioned that years ago, my buddy was telling me about this one girl that went to a metal show, and the slightest bump of any person that would actually bump into her, she'd flip. I'm like, you do realize you're at a metal show, right? It's gonna happen.
Right.
Like people.
Unless she secretly wanted that to happen, so she can get all of her aggression and anger out. You know.
Oh yeah.
Possibility. You know.
And so she wants to shove her ex-husband into a mosh pit.
I love it.
Oh man. Hey Karma, I'll have to show off my death metal skills to you. It's terrible. It's so bad. Like I sound like a 12-year-old is trying to look cool in front of his friends. So hey, check this out, guys.
Well, Phil, you just had puberty last week, so.
What Sean meant to say, I like to hear it sometime.
Which, talking about voices and all that, I always wanted Big Ed. I know I've said something to you before. I wanted you to narrate one of our videos because you have like a radio voice.
Everybody, you know what?
You do actually. I can tell.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. You know, if I followed what everybody tells me, I should be like a millionaire by now because they're like, man, you gotta like get into radio and doing voiceovers. And I've never pursued it. I should. I've been telling myself that for years. I should. I've never done it. But Sean, dude, I would definitely do it for you guys, no doubt.
It'd be awesome.
No doubt, man. So I appreciate that. Thanks. You know.
Oh yeah, man.
Which actually, while we talk about some paranormal stuff, what kind of experiences have you had, Ed?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So where do we begin?
What's your first experience you had?
Oh man. So that is weird. So okay, you know. One of the reasons why I've always been into this paranormal stuff is because some of the crazy experiences that I've had. I would say my first ever strange paranormal experience was back when I was a kid, 10, 11, 12 years old, living in Brookline. And so it started, and I was actually kind of there, but we lived in a little small 2-bedroom house. And I'll never forget, my dad worked a 3 to 11 shift. Okay, so a lot of times he would sleep at night when he got home, and mom always worked the early morning shift. So by 5 or 6 in the morning, she's gone. Dad got us up, off to school and everything. And it was one morning I was sick, and so I stayed home from school. And I remember I'm going in the hallway. And my dad was freaking out in his bedroom because he was just waking up, and he was talking to something or somebody or whatever. But but he was talking to himself, going, man, I can't believe this is happening. Who are you? That kind of stuff. I walked by it and never really thought about it, since. And I later on I approach my dad and like, Dad, who are you talking to? And he just became stone cold. Now I say that to bring it to this next point. Shortly afterwards, I started hearing in my bedroom, um, late at night, a guitar playing, like an acoustic guitar playing, and but you could only hear it like this one little corner of the room, and it was the weirdest thing. And it would go on like almost every night. And it wasn't until we were moving out of the house, where in the hallway there was like one of those little openings to go up into the attic, and we were pulling the stuff out. There was an acoustic guitar there, and I'm like, Mom, what is this? And like, oh yeah, she says I used to try to play the guitar for a little bit and never really took it up, but I've always wondered if that was the guitar that I was hearing, but it was actually playing a rhythm. So you can't, like, you sit there and say, okay, again, trying to rationalize things.
Mhm.
If it was it eroded, because hey, something could get up there, it could pluck some of the strings, but it actually had a rhythm to it. That kind of stuff, just really strange. So I guess that would be like my first real experience.
Okay.
But so many more provocative things have come about later on in life, starting in my teenage years. Sean, I told you this one. This one to this day baffles me, and it's kind of hard to describe. So, I had a friend, girl, who I was trying to hook up with. Never really happened, but we were just kind of friends. But she lived in Dormont, and so we would hang out at her house a lot. Now, her younger sister, I don't know. I never really kind of followed her exactly, but she was always into having to place certain rocks in different rooms and that kind of stuff. And she would always say, well, it's to ward off this or ward off that, or it's to add peace and serenity, whatever. But I always wondered if like she brought something into the house. I'm not quite sure because so one night, me and a couple of us were all hanging out in the living room, which is in the back of the house. I know it's kind of weird. The living room was in the back of the house, but whatever. All of a sudden, we heard this loud crash. And down in their basement, as soon as you go down the steps, they had these shelves that were like a pantry. Had a bunch of like, jars of pickles and, spaghetti sauce and that kind of stuff. That shelf literally was against the back wall, and there was a trail of canned goods, green beans, broken glass jars from where the shelf originally was at all the way to the back wall. We're freaking out at this point. Now, while we're freaking out and we're talking about what's happening here, hearing going up the steps, going up to the second floor, we heard like these footsteps. Boom, 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 boom. Me being the guy there, all right, I got to investigate it. So I run up, the first flight of steps to the main floor, run up to the second flight of steps. Second flight of steps, turn to the right. There is like the main bedroom. If you go straight ahead, there is this bathroom. Turn to the right. First, I'm looking in the bathroom. There's nothing there. Turn to the right, and here is this little girl. Okay, I would say about 3 foot tall, maybe 3.5, and she just looks at me, and very cute face, like a white pinkish type of dress, and she smiles, and then all of a sudden she just charges me. Okay, she was not, she wasn't a mist, she wasn't solid. It was kind of like something in between. To this day, it's so hard to describe it. Um, but yeah, not solid, but definitely, I mean, a full form. Like you could see she looked like a girl with the dress. Came charging through me, but disappeared right when that happened, right behind me, which was the bathroom door. The bathroom door slammed. Naturally, now I'm scared, but I've got to open up the door. As soon as I open up the door, she had like a small little vanity with the mirror, and the mirror cracked, and it was done. But to this day, still freaks the heck out of me. Now, with that house in particular, I was told, I can't verify this, but I was told that that house sits on the original mine entrance. This mine actually went down the hill towards Keystone Oaks High School, towards where their auditorium is. And I do know that mine existed because I was on stage crew when I was in high school, and they talked about how they had to at one time uh, put about 15 feet of concrete onto the floor because it was a big sinkhole from the mine.
Hmm.
And if it actually kind of makes sense, because if you kind of look at her house was about like I want to say maybe a 3/4 of a mile away, but it was pretty much a straight line. So I've never sat down and pulled up old records and all that stuff to verify it, but that does kind of make sense. Does that have anything to do with it? I don't know, but that was definitely a crazy experience. But I've had a lot of other crazy experiences DJs as being a DJ. So not the Western William Penn, the Omni William Penn Hotel off of Grand Avenue. Sean, I think I told you this experience too. A lot of DJs have all talked about how crazy and screwy this place is. So as a DJ, you can't go through like the main hotel lobby. A lot of the hotels you can't do that, at least in downtown.
Hmm.
You have to usually go through the service entrance and use the service elevators to get to the ballroom. All right. So you get to use the service elevators, and the first thing they tell you is good luck with getting on and off the elevator the way you want, because if you hit, I think it's the 17th floor. It's been a while since I've been down there. Either way, when you hit the button to go into the floor, good luck if that actually goes to that floor. All right, it's going to go up and down different floors. You'll eventually get to that floor, but it may take some time. Now, granted, this. Let's be honest, this is a very old elevator system, but the company that put it in, which was I think based in Southside, they've installed all these old elevators from all these different places. Never have any major issue in all these other different buildings, but they always seem to have it here. So my experience the one time is when the freight elevator goes up and down, it's weird because it actually rides alongside the fire escape stairwell. So it'll open up to like a hallway where you can actually go up and down the steps of the fire escape. And then you go to the left, and that goes actually there's another door with a window that goes down the main hallway corridor of the hotel rooms. All right, so it would be weird because the elevator doors would open up and that hallway's black, and it's like, okay, so nobody up there pushed the button to get to that floor, but yet that's where I'm at. And you look, and you go out and you can actually turn to the left and see the door with the window, and you can look down the hallway. Nobody there. And it's crazy. So now could that just be mechanics?
Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, again, I try to be rational in things. But here's where it becomes irrational. It makes no sense whatsoever. That same time, I'm doing a company Christmas party. At the time, what was it? It was Mellon Bank. Okay. And at the end of the night, I'm packing everything up in the ballroom, and you got to take 2 or 3 trips down. You just can't haul everything up in one lump sum. So I load up my dolly, take the stuff down to the car, come back with the dolly to go and get my second load. At this point, all the workers are already gone because they wanted to get out of there. They wanted to pack up and all that. So the lights were shut off in the ballroom, which really stunk. And that's definitely something that I was talking to the security guard. That's protocol. They never shut off all the lights until everybody's cleared out of there. That was the first thing. The second thing is where I was DJing at, where I had all my equipment stacked. That equipment wasn't there. The equipment was about 40 feet the other way. Yeah, makes no sense, right? Now, I mean, security guard. I talked to the security guard because at the time, I was pretty jacked off. I'm like, what the heck? Somebody's messing with my equipment.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But then you got to think about it. Okay, wait a minute. All these workers, they just want to get out of there. They've had a long day. If they were going to take something and move it, they could do a practical joke, but why would they want to do that? And honestly, this is back when I was still using CDs compared to like a computer. Mm-hmm. If you're gonna move something and you're gonna be doing that kind of stuff, you might as well just take the whole entire thing of CDs and run with it, right?
Yeah.
No. And so I'm talking to the security guard, basically kind of, pitching a fit here. And at the same time, I'm like, well, don't you have cameras? He said, yeah. They go to it, and at a certain point, all the cameras were blacked out. Like everything just turned to like your snow, and they had no recording of when that happened. And it was basically about a 10-minute time, which makes sense because by the time you take your load down the freight elevator that may or may not get down to the bottom in time, load it into your car, and then come back up. That's a good 10-15 minutes. So they can't attest to what happened in that 10 minutes. And they said, we don't know, And so, yeah, the lights were out, and my equipment was moved about 40 feet. Okay,
crazy shit.
And they said, and again, I'm going to say this because this is funny. I guess all these different places, they have the same common name. Oh, it's George the Ghost. And that's what the security said. It must just be George.
Hillview has a George too.
Apparently George must be like just the common name, I guess. So that was an experience. Another experience. So our company, like I mentioned beforehand, we were also a DJ supply company, selling equipment and so forth. Of course, we had to do installs. One of our installs, again, some of the guys might like this, was the Philly Corral in Smithton, PA, and that's a strip joint. And the owners wanted, I think we probably installed easily $60,000 worth of sound and lighting in there. It was an extreme overkill, but that's what the guy wanted. Okay, either way. So we had our main installer doing all this stuff, and he would come back to the store saying, man, I'm telling you, this place is haunted. It's crazy, this, and that. And I'm like, get out of here. Just talking, whatever, because our installer was a little, weird to begin with. But the one day I'm talking to the owner, and because we were trying to he was looking at buying a few other things, and the conversation did come up, and I'm like, so, hey, by the way, I heard this thing was haunted. And he says, oh, yeah, it's definitely haunted, And so, ironically, the stuff that he bought, which was more different cabling and wiring that we needed to do to install even more speakers, one night I ended up having to be the guy to deliver all this. And,
lucky you, right?
Oh yeah. Hey, well, but it's not as crazy as you would think it would be, because how they would run, the strip joint. I'm gonna guess like 9-10 o'clock in the morning until 2 or 3 in the morning. So you had basically like a 4 or 5 hour window to go in there and work on stuff. So it was like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm walking in and, helping to feed this cable to our installer. And sure thing, I'm hearing tick, 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 almost like the sound of a quarter, like on a glass window. And I'm like, what is that? And that's when my buddy, the installer, was like, I'm telling you, man, that's what's going on, stuff like this. And tick, 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 tick. And now, again, trying to be a rational guy, this is near a truck stop area and so forth.
Have a good evening, Carmadeer.
Truck stop type of area and so forth. So instantly I run out to the doors, looking outside. There's nobody there, looking around where the glass windows are. There's nobody there. But all of a sudden, as soon as you go in there, tick, 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 and the sound's coming right from the window. It's crazy. All of a sudden, I hear and see a shadow to the left of me. I guess they called it the pit. So I have no idea what really went on in this pit. But I do know that if you were like a bachelor, like you have like a bachelor party, they have a big throne in there that you sit down on, and girls literally, they hang off of a bar and then jump their full weight onto you and stuff like that. Okay, they call it the pit though. And here in the corner of my eye, I see a shadow, and I hear this little evil laughter, And the installer again's like, see, I'm telling you. And it's crazy. And then even now, here's me, a big guy. We had to feed this cabling through the ceiling. So I'm up in the rafters above the ceiling, and I'm literally, while I'm feeding the cables, I feel this tug on my shoulder, and I hear this evil laughter again. And it was like and, it's almost like this, whatever, was just taunting you, just to let you know that you're there, whatever. Had experiences like that. The other experience I had was up at what was it called? I think it's called Timber Ridge. It might have been Timber Ridge. I think it's called Timber Ridge Golf Course. It's right off of Route 22 in Blairsville. So I think it's called Timber Ridge. I might be off the name, but something Ridge. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place. All right. It's on the second floor. I mean, big glass windows that overlook the Laurel Mountains. Awesome place. But I've always had a weird, funny vibe when you walk in there. And I mean, it's cool. Along like the hallway corridors, they have like it feels like you're like in a Scooby Doo type of thing. They literally have like the metal knight armors, with a guy like holding a pole, that kind of stuff. It's pretty ornate. Well, anyhow, me and my assistant, we're getting everything set up. We got all the sound systems set up, and we just got our tuxes on. We're sitting back in the main ballroom, and we literally see a cake topper from their wedding cake, boing, literally just flung off the cake and like landed about 20 feet, broke. I'm like, and me and Steve are like, what the heck just happened? And obviously we have to address it to the staff because people are about to start coming in and there's no cake topper and it's busted there. We got to take care of that. But obviously the other thing is what the freak just happened?
Yeah.
And same thing. Staff was like, oh, that's just George. And like, oh, it's just George. Like it's normal to them. And we got another cake topper, no problem. But so it's kind of just weird. These are the things that just come up all the time, and it's like, how do I describe it? I know there's good and evil forces that are out there in the
sure.
world. I mean, obviously, if you read the Bible, I mean, you clearly understand that that this is the devil's domain. I mean, God has control of everything,
right?
But it's still devil's domain, and so all this kind of stuff happens. And that's where I would love to have this discussion, because where I'm at in my Christian walk in faith is, I know a lot of pastors, a lot of people will want to shy away from
mm-hmm.
this discussion.
Yeah.
And I look at it going, but I've had these experiences. These experiences are 100% legit and real. No, I don't want to be involved. The Bible clearly states, hey, you're not supposed to talk to these spirits, because you can obviously be under spiritual attack and all these different things. So for me, it's like, hey, I like you guys. I dig what you're doing, but I'm going to say, I'm just going to watch you guys and your stuff. I'm not going to be a part of it, But on the same token, it makes you question things, because as a Christian, here's where I question things on. Okay, when you die, all of us have the ultimate decision on, okay, do you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior or not? All right. If you do, and you repent of your sins, you are, in the book of life, you're going to go to heaven. Awesome. Yeah. If not, you're going to go to hell. Okay. Yeah. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. But now here comes the Roman Catholic religion. Now, in the Roman Catholic religion, there is this discussion of purgatory. Now, that's where, again, in the Bible, to me, there is no mention of purgatory, no nothing like that. But this is where I sit there, well, okay, if you're going to either heaven or hell, and there is no purgatory, then what about all these spirits that I've encountered down here?
Yeah.
The stuff that you pick up and everything else. There's got to be something going on. And that's what's always bothered me. And I go back, and this is one of those things where, like, I care about you guys.
Of course.
Here's what I always thought. Like, okay, imagine, and I'm going to propose this question. Let's say you're an atheist. Let's say you don't even believe in God. All right, but let's just pretend, let's say you are, but let's pretend that there is such a thing called heaven. And heaven is this ultimate place, pure light, pure love, pure joy, the ultimate of everything. Okay, you're telling me that if this is a good spirit, you're hunting a little girl spirit in the Bel Air house or whatever, you're telling me that this awesome spirit who's in heaven is going to leave there and want to come and haunt some dingy, dark, crazy, cold place like, the Crescent Asylum or whatever, as opposed to being in heaven? Come on. That's telling me that the spirit down here, whatever that spirit is, has got to be evil. And that's the thing. So when you guys are doing your voice boxes and all this stuff and you're communicating, and some of them may seem to be playful and legit, and they're just good spirits, Are they good spirits? Are they not? That's the kind of thing. And it brings me back to the whole entire point of, okay, purgatory. What is all about this? You
Right.
know, I was born and raised Catholic, and I
Mhm.
know that the Catholic religion, even though it's really not talked about, they did perform exorcisms.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, if I go back in my Bible, there's many times that Jesus drove out demons and that kind of stuff. So if it's in the Bible saying there's demons and stuff that you can drive out, okay, that tells me there is possession and that kind of stuff happens as well. So this is all the stuff that's kind of mashed into my brain all the time, going, okay. And my analytical mind is I've always been the type of guy that wants to learn how things operate, how things work. If I'm just driving down the road and I see a bridge, how is that bridge being held up? Hey, you know, there's this type of device that's going on. How does it actually work? I've always been that kind of way. So here comes what you guys do. And it's very intriguing because there's more to it than meets the eye. But I also know what the Bible says about you're not supposed to,
Right.
deal with this and that. But then this is going on. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's why I wanted to come on because for me, it's intriguing. But, I don't know. I'm going to end it there and just kind of hand it to you guys, though. And does any of that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense, but I mean, part of it, which I think we talked about this on one of the episodes, is there can be hauntings, but the person could still be alive too. So if you're saying that like someone's coming down from heaven or whatever, that doesn't make sense because like stuff can be ingrained in the property. Like say there's been cases where something traumatic's happened, that person still is living to this day, but that experience still happens and that's in the location still.
So
So
you're saying like the energy then?
yeah.
Like okay. So that's interesting. Okay.
But even like, I don't know. I know I've had personal experiences and it could be something imitating something, but it was more positive. Like stuff where, I thought could be like one of my parents passing on it, stuff, I'd hear songs by them or something, or even like I've told this story before too. Like when my October 13th is Friday the 13th, October 13th was the day that my dad had his kidney transplant. And it's also was the due date for my daughter. She wasn't born until the 25th though, but that date has significance to me. And a year after he passed, on that date, I got a phone call, and you can't tell what he's saying, but it sounds like my dad talking. And like my mom heard it, my daughter heard it, my son heard it. Like everybody thinks it sounds like my dad. Do I think that's evil? No, I don't think that's evil. There's other stuff like that where, you know, there's positive outcomes, like where ghosts, like say there's a little kid that's about to fall on the train tracks, something pulled him back. What's to say that's not a spirit? And going off the spirits and like religion and everything, which is something I never really understood, is like all ghosts are supposed to be evil according, and I'm not knocking you, I'm just saying in general, a lot of religious
Right.
people say ghosts, are evil.
Right.
But if they're all evil, then what's the Holy Spirit? Because I mean, that's God. That's
Right.
Well, like that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, now to get to your point, because that's actually a very good point. Now there are angels. I mean, it's clearly in the Bible where, hey, God has angels that will come down and protect you for certain different circumstances. So you're absolutely right there. There are, and the Spirit is, that is God in spirit form, or Jesus in spirit form. So you're absolutely right. But you bring up some very good points though too, because hey, you've had these experiences and they're all positive. I'll give you an example. So my wife, in the past couple of years, unfortunately, she's lost both of her parents just in a short span. And she has always said, in fact, we just had a conversation not even a couple of days ago, and she was just like, Ed, I feel my dad here in this house, and she'll clearly say it. I mean, I definitely consider myself or consider my wife a very rational, normal thinking person. I mean, she runs doctor's offices and everything else, but for her to say, Ed, I've had this different experiences, and I'm just telling you, I feel my dad in this house. Again, a very positive thing. So and that goes back to even with me. That's where I'm always conflicted because, I am the individual that says, hey, I do truly believe in the Bible, and I'm going to take it for face value.
Yeah.
Not everybody feels that way, but I
Right.
do. Okay, but the big but is, but I also know that I've experienced this stuff. I've talked to you. I've witnessed different things. I've have other friends who've experienced some different things. There's some crazy stuff that's going on, so there's got to be some sort of weird explanation. So I think I mentioned to you a friend of mine who sent me a video from Gettysburg, and it was a dash cam of the DCNR, the people that actually, the Park Service people.
Mhm.
And it was like twilight. So there was still a little bit of sunlight left. So it wasn't pitch black, but they're driving down the road. The cannons were on the right hand side. And the video clearly shows apparitions of people in army fatigues.
Mhm.
Okay. So there you go. Now going back to your thing here, what you were saying, Sean, like the energy, good or bad. Let's face it. I mean, Gettysburg was all pretty much negative energy, if that stuff was residual. But nonetheless, I'm telling you that on the dash cam, that was there.
Right.
And as God is my witness. I mean, it's clear as day. So that stuff does exist, and that is the ultimate question. Is it evil? Is it good?
Right.
That's the question, and of course, I'm a huge YouTube guy, so I love I'll spend the 2 or 3 in the morning just watching YouTube to fall asleep, huh?
Yeah.
And so I've seen crazy, scary stuff, but I've also seen the positive stuff. I just watched the other day. It was a person taking a photo or video of the life flight taken off. And they had a patient on board, and at a certain point, the people in life flight basically said, "Yeah, that person just passed," and you literally seen this little whatever beam of light, literally
Like
real
energy
quick,
or something.
yeah. So again, I'm trying to say I believe this. I definitely believe it's positive, but there's also a lot of negative, scary stuff, and that's why it's intriguing, and I think with what you guys do and why I always appreciated you guys, especially you guys, because again, I'm sure there are some people out there who are in it for maybe the wrong reasons,
Right. Right.
where
100%.
you guys, hey, like Sean, you and I've talked. I know, like, you have your doubts, like you're skeptical, but you're going to go in there more with a scientific mind. Hey, is this I know this is probably cliche, but okay, this door is opening and closing. Is it because of air pressure or this or that?
Mhm.
Even in my line of work with DJing, I can tell you right now, electromagnetic interference can wreak havoc on your sound equipment.
Yeah.
I mean, I have special devices. If I'm doing anything downtown or in Mount Washington, I have everything plugged into, because if not, you think about it. Your stuff is an amplifier, and it's metal. It's going to pick up. I can clearly pick up WDVE and KDKA without actually having a radio tuner at all, because it's metal and it's picking up stuff. So when it comes to electromagnetic interference or radio frequency interference, that could obviously cause different things to go on.
Right.
So, I mean, I know you go in there with a scientific viewpoint of, okay, let's just try to debunk stuff. Is there reasons why the stuff is happening? And like a lot of times, sometimes you can legitimately just say, this is probably the reason why.
Right.
But then it's but then there's the unknown. Like, nothing's making sense. And maybe there is this crazy weird of this building and all that stuff. And it always intrigued me. It goes back to the Christianity part, because, okay, going off of your energy part, hey, maybe there was certain people that died here and that stuff. And there's something that's obviously going on. Well, is there energy? Is it their spirit? Is it, so it's intriguing, and that's why I've always found it amazing. And unfortunately, you just can't go to a normal pastor and say, "Hey, pastor, what do you think about this?" And I get it, because they got to try to lead their flock, so to speak, to Christ, which makes sense, And if I was in that position, obviously, I would be the same way. But there is the other side of me. It's like, man, there is some interesting stuff going on. It's the classic Bill Murray line, stuff happens. Who are you going to call?
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because, like, me being the other really, heavy believer, like, another reason why I love doing this stuff, because I like obviously, we're all a big family. We all are. Like, we all get along so well. And just going to these really amazing places, like, even if it's, like, dark or not, I just love to, like, learn about it. And if something happens, great. If not much goes on, I still have the time of my life there. Like, whenever we went to the Bel Air house, that's a good example. That was, ask Sean and Mikey. I was a little bit nervous about going there, but then, like, once we actually got there, I'm like, you know what? This place I like it. I really do.
And
I feel comfortable.
You were uncomfortable with our experiment we did in the attic too.
I think the reason why
which it wasn't like an anti-religious thing or nothing.
Oh,
it was it was an energy thing that we did.
Yeah, I just wasn't really. I was totally cool with them doing it. I think with me, like, I didn't want to bite off more than I can chew because, if they were able to do it, like, I didn't give them any hard time. Like, you guys do what you want. I'm going to go downstairs. This is just not my thing. It was just more of like, if you're able to do something, anything could like backfire against you, kind of thing. It's like,
we were basically trying to increase the energy in the house, trying to have something show up, I guess, which we did have.
Right.
The bed shook. That was three people were sitting on, and then there was tapping behind the wall right after we did it too. So
right. Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go downstairs. I'll let you guys have fun with this. And it's funny because they actually did it in the basement there too, and they got some responses. My name was mentioned from what Mikey said, and also the word Gansfeld experiment was also mentioned, which I actually did prior. And I was passed out asleep. I was done for. Like, I don't know if it was that place, but I'm like the guy that's going to get tired first. That's just how I am. Marcus, the guy that was with us, actually came up the stairs because he wanted to check on me to make sure I was okay. And apparently he took a selfie with me while I was sleeping. It's kind of funny. But, like, I don't know. Like, I don't mind experimentation, but to me, it's just more of, and this is out of respect for everybody in the team. It's just like, there's some things where, like, if I'm able to do it, awesome. But I think I'm just going to kind of leave it the way it should be, just by itself. It just wasn't my thing. And if they got something, that's awesome. You do you. But to me, I just, I don't know.
I actually got tapped in the head too, and Jen got like pushed in the back down the basement. Like,
the basement to me though, it didn't really freak me out. I did the Yesties method down there, and I was like, this is kind of nice.
You were with somebody though, weren't you?
I was with somebody.
It's a different animal if you're by yourself.
Yeah, I'm not as ballsy, but I don't know.
It's just like human beings in general. Okay, we're all whether it's politics, religion, or anything, we're all gonna have differences of opinions.
Exactly.
We're gonna have different experiences. But if you can come together and respect everybody's boundaries, that
100%.
makes sense.
Absolutely.
And Phil, you touched upon something that really hits me really well too. Is I love history. I do. Yes. I love history. I love architecture. Prime example today. For PACC, we were at the Soldiers and Sailors Museum, and the first thing that I picked up on, we were in the auditorium at first, and I noticed they actually had the Gettysburg Address right, like it was a mural right in front, and I noticed the date. I'm like, November 19th, 1863. I'm looking like, today's November 17th. 2 days from now, that speech is going to be 159 years old. It was just the coolest thing in the world. Yeah, so there you go. Right now, Gettysburg Address, November 19th, 1863. 159 years from on Saturday is, but here's the cool thing. So, at least on the history part, imagine a speech that is so powerful, so provoking, that 159 years later, I just find that absolutely amazing. But with that said, going back to your point, man, the rich history behind these buildings and the people that were in the buildings, that for me would be just as exciting,
Right.
It really is,
I think a lot of it's the urban exploring type aspect of it too is fun because I've always liked exploring buildings and stuff like that,
Right. Don't mind me. Sorry, guys. Yeah. I had to plug the phone in because it is dying on me here. So
I know you're good, man. You're good. No, and that's the thing too. Like, and this is why I love the team that we're a part of too. It's like, to rewind back whenever I, told them I didn't really, the whole like experiment that they actually did wasn't my thing. they were very loving and respectful. But I was like, that's fine. You know, you're more than welcome to walk downstairs. I'm like, thanks. You know, I think I kind of made it a bigger deal than what it was, you know, because I was a little bit vocal about the whole thing. Just I was tired, but you know, everybody was so cool about it too. I'm like, thanks. I'll let you, you know.
Like everybody in the group basically has different views. Like I'm not really religious, but I believe in God. I was raised Catholic. Phil's obviously religious. You know, Jen's beliefs, Ed.
Yeah.
April's like Wiccan, like Mikey's agnostic. Like everybody has a different view pretty much in our group, which I think kind of helps like look at it from different views too, you know?
100%. Absolutely.
Well, you have to, because I mean, and that's the thing. I've always been the type of individual that you want to look, you got to look at things from different angles, you know, because that's how you can get a much better informed decision. And again, I'm not going to throw politics into it, but let's just talk about like the midterms that just happened a couple days ago. I mean, I was the guy that was switching back and forth from Fox News to CNN and getting commentation, you know, and I'm weird like that. But the thing is, for me, I want to get everybody's points of opinion and thoughts. Now, then from there, I am going to, if on both sides, you know, or 3 sides or 4 sides, if they bring up different points of view and they're able to, you know, pull up some sort of statistic or whatever, here's me Googling it then and trying to just do more research on it, because I want to get everybody's viewpoints and thoughts and then, you know, do some research and form my own opinion. So with that said, going back to even what we're talking about here, you know, this stuff is real. There's no doubt in my mind that this stuff is real. So, and the inquisitive mind wants to know about it, you know?
So kind of going back on what you're saying then, do you think everything's evil then?
No. Well, here's what, that is a good point. So let me try to give you my thoughts on it. Okay. Here, I even prepared. Hold on.
Nice.
Because I knew this discussion might come up. So I threw in a couple different things. So, okay. Here we go.
Oh, excuse me.
No, that's cool. So, I believe a good portion of it is evil. Yes. Okay. On the same token, kind of going to your point of there's good stuff too. You have to understand there are angels, and there are, you know, there are angels. There are certainly good spirits. Keep in mind, Satan was an angel at one time too, you know, and he talked other people to basically say, hey, you know, God, how dare you have all this power? We believe that we can do this, this, and that. And of course, God's like, no, we're going to cast you out. And so I do believe there's that constant struggle of good and evil. Okay. I mean, you always hear from Christians, they talk about the spiritual warfare. So with that said, I believe that what you guys are witnessing and experiencing could very well possibly be a spiritual warfare that we can't necessarily see. On the same token, I don't really know. I guess that's the biggest thing. I don't know, because I'm going to go back to the film footage that I was sent, but with Gettysburg. Okay. I mean, and you could tell it wasn't doctored or anything like that. It was literally, they even had the timestamp. It was like the day afterwards that it was sent to me. Like you could see like how they have their dash cams, they have their little date and time and everything. And like you heard, like you could really hear legitimately the concern from the driver who's driving and his buddy, you know, I guess the other worker in their vehicle. And it is that necessarily evil? No, you know, but what is it? You know, it's certainly not good either. I mean, I can't see an angel coming down and saying, hey, guess what? You know what? I'm going to dress up in army fatigues and we're going to walk the road.
That'd be kind of funny, actually.
You know, on the same token, do I think that it's some sort of evil demon saying, hey, guess what? I'm gonna dress up in army fatigues and walk down the road again? No, I don't think so. You know, so there could certainly be something about, you know, energy. And so I definitely believe in that. On the same token, you know, there is evil, you know, and this is kind of where I go back to the purgatory thing or whatever, because you cannot convince me that when you go to heaven, okay, and it is the absolute the most love you've ever experienced in your entire life, you know, no hunger, no thirst. It is, roads are paved with gold and lampstands of ivory and all this stuff. You are not going to come down and hang out at an old jail or an asylum.
Yeah,
That's
but
just not going to happen.
you say something like that though, but maybe that's what I enjoy. Maybe I do want to come down and do something like that. It depends on the person too.
Okay, yeah, I guess. I mean, I could see that.
I guess we won't actually know until what actually happens.
Yeah, well,
that's how I view it too.
A sheriff friend of mine from Allegheny County, we had a conversation about this one day, and I like the way he said, though. It makes sense. He says, Ed, he says, I've seen some of the coolest things that mankind has ever made. He said, I've gone to Disney and seen what these Imagineers can do and build. And it's just absolutely amazing. He says, I've also, because of being a sheriff, I've seen some of the most horrific things that a human being can do to another man. He says, so if you can imagine how great things can be and how evil things can be, imagine how much more extreme on both ends it is of the stuff that we don't see in the afterlife. Mm-hmm. And so to your point, Sean, I see what you're saying, but it would be really hard. Again, and there's actually not a whole lot written about heaven, besides, like I mentioned beforehand, and then Jesus saying, I'm building a place for you. But it would be really hard to convince me, at least, that even though you might like these hobbies down here, when you're up there, I don't know. But then again, Phil, you just said it best. We don't know, and we don't know. We can only speculate. So, Sean, you have a very good, valid point, too.
Well, another thing is, I mean, there's people on Earth that you still love. Why don't you want to come back and visit them?
But that's partly where, you might become an angel for that respect. Because, I will tell you this, that I don't believe in heaven is, hey, you die and then you wear your robe and your little halo and you're playing a harpsichord or a cloud. I am a believer that, even down here on earth, God's given you certain gifts to use for his glory. Okay. Right. Now, with that said, I'm sure up in heaven that he's also going to give you certain tasks. I've always hoped as a DJ, hey, God's going to be like, hey, Ed, look, throw me a party today, man. Give me the ultimate laser show. Okay, God, you got it. That would be the coolest thing. But I see us in a standpoint of, we're going to be at least doing something for God up there.
Right.
So, and there could very well be, hey, Sean, thank you. You're well done, my good and faithful servant. And hey, I want you to be an angel and watch over these people down here on earth. Because that's a whole entire other thing. As you said, these people that have these, and it's even in the book, people have these vivid dreams, premonitions, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Something obviously put that thought into their heads of, hey, wake up, you got to go and tell this person not to go here because there's going to be if they do that, they're going to cross the tracks and they're going to get plowed by a train. So they've had that kind of stuff. Or the other way, well, here, Sean, I'll give you a prime example. And this happened to me years ago. I was DJing at a place called Fun Fest. It is now called Zone 28.
Love that place, by the way.
Been there because PACC does a lot of bowling there. But I was doing the late night cosmic bowling, and every Friday and Saturday late night from 12:30 to 3:30. I usually packed up out of there by about 3:45, hitting the road, and I lived with my parents still in the South Hills. It would have been about, I think approximately 4:10, 4:15. I was pulling off of Route 28, going on the on-ramp to the Veterans Bridge, okay? And so you're making that sharp turn, and I fell asleep behind the wheel. I fell asleep, all right? Literally, as my right bumper was just starting to hit the concrete barrier to probably go into to the Allegheny River, I literally felt something, and I know I was asleep, but I literally felt something grab my hands, okay, and yank the steering wheel to the left-hand side, and something literally doing this to me. and woke me up, and at that point, screeched the brakes. And again, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yes, I did this. I literally stopped the car and got out on the Veterans Bridge and just looked at the river, looked at it was actually a van at the time. And I'm like, thank you, God. But I'm telling you, something definitely grabbed my hands and yanked that steering wheel and slapped me. I'm telling you that. Now,
so do you think it was an angel then, or
somebody? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to your point, hey, is there good or evil and all that stuff? There's no doubt that I believe in angels or good spirits. And I do believe that they may be, that may be one of the jobs that God gives them is you're going to protect these people. Okay. Going back to what my wife's experiencing. Hey, Ed, I feel my dad in this house. It makes me feel comfortable. It makes me feel calm. Okay. So, again, that's where, and when you're talking about a paranormal society, that's why I to answer your question of, is it all evil or all good? When you're talking about paranormal, it's kind of just similar to like the UFOs. Okay. Look, we're all experiencing it now. I mean, the government's finally declassifying, hey, there's all these crazy flying objects that we're experiencing. There is no way that man can, at least at this time, the technology that can do this stuff. Okay. So there is definitely, and I would classify that under the paranormal as well. So there is a lot of stuff that us mankind in general, don't know. And that is where you guys fall into play. And when it comes to what you guys specifically are doing, I would say yes. I believe a lot of it is evil, but you may be capturing or experiencing certain things that are good, or as you mentioned, energy, and that is where you guys approaching it in more of a scientific manner. I think is a cool thing.
Well, that's like kind of going back on, like, do you know what the stone tape theory is?
No.
It's basically kind of like what I was talking about earlier, how usually I think it has to do with like a lot of buildings that are made out of limestone, but it can be other things, but it's certain materials will trap energy and just repeat itself, like residual type stuff. Yeah. Like going off of like how I was saying, there's people that have had something traumatic happen. They're still alive to this day, but that thing still repeats itself, kind of forget what I was going to say, but but just in general, like, I guess I don't think that's really good or evil. It's just
right. It's just energy of sorts. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's a very, very good, valid point. And so for me, I look at it where it's exciting. It is definitely exciting. The only thing that scares me for you guys, and again, this is because I generally love, is when I hear stuff like, in your wife, Jen, has said it, oh man, I definitely feel like, I have to cleanse myself because I definitely feel like I might have brought something. That is scary because, again, Satan is the greatest deceiver. All of his demons are the greatest deceivers. Okay. I mean, if you go back to the beginning of Genesis, hey, here's this apple. It's going to be perfectly fine, and bam. So that you could definitely be deceived. And so it's just one of those things where you just got to be very, very careful, and I'm gonna completely twist it around, but I'm gonna give you an analogy of where I think what I mean by being careful. It's like if you are a college guy, all right, and you're horny,
I like this.
You want to have a little fun, okay? And that you can hook up with these girls right now, and man, they're gonna rock your world. The problem is, you might be bringing something home with you afterwards.
That's a good. I like that.
You know what?
Phil.
Hey, look, sometimes
shut up.
Sometimes basic medication can eradicate it. Hey, some antibiotics can definitely get rid of the clap. Okay, but I got news for you: herpes, HIV, that's always with you. Now you might be.
Well, they might make you pray to God though too.
Control it. You might be able to take medication to control it, but it's always going to be with you. And so, when it comes to like your ghost hunting, that is scary. Is okay. What if one of these, demons or whatever, attaches itself to you? And I look at it even from like just a basic sinful nature. If Satan's going to always go after your vices, and he's going to use that to try to pull you away. Because ultimately, for him, the ultimate thing is to pull you away from God. Okay. So your vices could be, hey, I like to drink. I like to gamble, well, that stuff. Well, he's going to try to throw as many things as he can at you to keep you doing that, as opposed to trying to go after God. Okay.
Right.
And I've always heard, that one of the things they do is there's demons attached to you that's always just whispering in your ear. They can't force you to do anything, but they can constantly just whisper in your ear. And okay, I know I really shouldn't be going on to xhamster.com, but and then,
how the hell did you know about that?
hey, I'm a guy and I've experienced it, unfortunately. But you know what? 2 hours later, oh geez, I didn't do. Here we go. 2 hours later, I've been looking at porn the entire time, and I didn't do anything with my life today. That's not good. But I'm using that as an analogy to go back to even what you guys are doing. You got to be very careful because these evil things can certainly attach.
Oh, sure.
And there was here we go. This is the one I wanted to pull up. This was in Acts 19 verses 14 and 16. Paul was basically going into all these synagogues, talking to all the Jewish people about, hey, who Christ is, blah, 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 blah. And some of them were kind of getting energized. And at the time, Paul was able to receive some of the powers like that Christ had to be able to drive out demons and so forth. Okay. And so some of these Jewish people were like, hey, we could do the same thing. And I like what this was verse 14. Okay. One day the evil spirit answered them, Jesus I know, and Paul I know about, but who are you? Then the men who were with them, they all had evil spirits jump on them and overpowered them. And they gave them all such a beating that they ran out of the house naked and bleeding. And it kind of got me thinking about you guys, though, because, if we are not equipped, I say we, but anybody that's going into these environments, and if you are not equipped, you could definitely walk away. And Satan, make no mistake, Satan and demons are a lot stronger than us. Now, right. I'm also a believer that God is obviously the ultimate, and he's stronger than all of them. But if you don't have that mindset, you could easily be overtaken by this, and that's always the biggest fear. So I always just say with you guys, hey, great job. I love what you guys are doing. But just definitely have that in the back of your mind that you got to be safe. It's kind of like, best way to describe it. You can operate a nuclear power plant. You can certainly operate a nuclear power plant. But if
I don't trust Phil doing that.
I don't trust myself doing it.
You can walk away glowing green and dying there really quick. So that's what it comes down to. You just have to use caution.
And I have to add on to that too, Ed. Like, we're all human. Like, a lot of us do have a bit of a God complex when it comes to certain things, and it's just like, I'm going to throw an example out there. Drinking. You can go out, drink as much as you want. Oh, I'll be fine. I can handle this. Well, whenever the damn cop pulls you over, get a goddamn DUI, throws yourself in jail, you ain't so tough. And I mean that in a very loving way, because, as good as you can be with something, you have to
everybody has their demons pretty much.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. You have to always be careful. Like, I'm good at what I do, but if something goes wrong, I'm screwed. I have to be very cautious with anything. You can be the greatest, football player out there. You're going to have a day where you suck. That's just how it's going to be, because we're all human. We all have our flaws. That's just how it is. You have to go through anything with, I know what I'm doing, but I have to also be respectful with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Well, going off of like the whole everything's bad demon type of vibe, what's to say it's just not a bad person? Like, if there was a guy that murdered his family, and you believe that building's being haunted by this guy that murdered his whole family, was he a demon, or is he just a bad person?
That's a good thing. And you know what? I'm going to go to that now too. Here we go. This is the other way of looking at things, which is a positive thing for you guys. So let's say, and this is obviously documented a billion times. I mean, again, I know TV can be salacious, and sometimes TV is set for ratings as opposed to being real. With that said, though, we all know that there are families who are being attacked in their house or whatever. And if you guys are able to say, okay, no, here's what's really going on. First off, is it paranormal, or is there, some sort of scientific reasoning behind it? Number one. But number two, to be able, how do I say this? to have somebody maybe on staff who can help a family out by exorcisms or driving out demons or whatever, that's a very good thing. So, but yeah, Sean, you're absolutely right. Is it evil? Is it a demon? Or is it just somebody that's just, that's a good question. There really is. It is. And yeah, that's the scary part,
Because I mean, I know personally,
but we see it even in real life. I mean, there's not one day that you don't click on the news and here's a shooting. Oh, here's a shooting. Right.
Exactly.
Man, and my heart breaks. It's sad, man.
I mean, I know like personally from stuff I've dealt with, even, I'm pretty sure I saw a possession, but like looking back on it, I try to like, maybe it wasn't a possession. Maybe I was exaggerating stuff or this and that. But the thing is like, I don't know. I don't think I've ever ran into a demon, honestly. I think I've ran into bad spirits, evil for sure, but an actual demon, like, I don't know if you know anything about like demons and daemons, but daemons are like the higher up of the demons or whatever. Why would something like that come and bother with me? Like, who am I? Like I'm just a normal everyday person. Why would they care about someone that has nothing to do,
Well, no, hold on. I do have something to say to that. And the answer is why. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to just tell you from personal experience. Okay. Now, you can believe me or not believe me, but I'm telling you this is legit. If you turn your life over to Christ and you start saying, okay, you know what? God, I know I can do certain things for you. Okay. That means, how do I describe? Imagine, again, I use analogies all the time. All right. Now you just became the quarterback of a football team. And what is the ultimate thing for the football team, the other opposing team to do? Sack the quarterback. You now have a target on your thing because you know why? You are now a bigger threat to Satan, because the idea is that, hey, we're here on this earth. We're supposed to bring people to Christ. Okay. Doesn't mean you have to be being from a pulpit. It means just being a friend to talking to somebody, whatever. The point of the matter is, though, you're right, Sean. Hey, I'm just an average nobody or this or that. And okay. So, no, he's not going to go after you as much. But you take somebody like Phil, who, hey, maybe Phil's got a few friends who is going to be starting to really get down on their luck, and they're going to need Phil. And Phil's going to try to start talking to them and try to maybe interject God in there. And Satan knows this. I got news for you. Phil, I'm going to block you from even doing that because I'm going to start going after you right now.
Oh, hey, damn it.
You're coming into my house. You're going to be trying to fool around.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm going to jump on you. So that is where you have to be careful. But you're right. How come people, again, it's all philosophical. It's all philosophical because you could easily counteract what I'm saying right now. But it is something
I could play devil's advocate, basically.
When I started trying to do stuff for Christ, I'm telling you, man, the arrows that get flung at you, it starts becoming a lot harder and stronger. Now that again goes to, and then in Scripture they call it the armor of God. Putting the armor of God on you. But I'm going to just tell you, I have been attacked a lot more because I've gotten closer to God. And one of the reasons why, again, Phil, you said it best. I love to go in. If I was more in shape, okay, that's I'm just being honest. If I was in more shape where I could, just stand for 3-4 hours walking around several miles of corridors, and I was more in shape, it'd be very lucrative for me to say, "Hey, Sean, man, I want to go and check this out," just because I love the history of buildings and everything, the history of stuff. But I also know that if I'm doing more of this stuff for God, and I can walk into the devil's den, so to speak, where I can easily get more attacked, I'm gonna have a target pegged on me, and I don't want that to happen. That's a real thing. On the same token, again, going back to what you guys are doing, there's got to, instead of people just shunning away, stay away from that, and we're just gonna pretend it doesn't exist. That's the wrong approach too. So you need to have people out there who can say, "Whoa, we want to investigate this. We want to learn and understand this." And I think that's the difference. Is there are paranormal groups such as yourselves who are doing it obviously you get excited by it,
Right.
but
Absolutely.
there's more of a scientific reasoning to it.
Yeah.
And there are also other people, and Sean, you and I have talked about it too, where they're in it for probably some more nefarious reasons,
Right.
and it, backtrack here. A hobby of mine, yes, I love learning about nuclear technology. Okay, even
Okay.
though I'm not a nuclear scientist, I love anything about nuclear. So there was back in the day, back in the early 40s, the scientists, including at Los Alamos, they would do these experiments called tickling the dragon. Okay, and it was basically a ball of plutonium, and
Okay.
they would
Yeah.
use reflectors, and they would try to get it as close as they can to being critical, causing all kind of stuff. And literally, it was so rudimentary. I'm talking like they're using a screwdriver holding certain things up. It was called tickling the dragon. But the problem is with tickling the dragon, sometimes if you let the reflectors collapse in on the plutonium core, guess what? You're going to have a major problem. And there was several times that people did and died within like a week because of it.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, it's crazy.
that's terrible.
But you use that same analogy, you have other paranormal people who are doing just that. They're getting excited by tickling the dragon or tickling the demon. So that's the biggest thing, is you got to be careful of I would advise that you don't allow those type of people in, because even if they're doing it for themselves, again, demons can jump onto them and to you and everything else. So you want to be careful of that. But I also believe that what you're doing makes a lot of sense. You're learning about stuff, and who's to say that what you're doing can't help other people down the road? Because there are clearly many times, hey, I'm living in this crazy house or this, and I am being attacked. I mean, how many times have you heard, again, TV, salacious and all that, but I sleep in bed, I wake up and I got scratches on me, or hey, I've been touched and I was pushed down a pair of steps. That's pretty scary, so. And the problem is I've always looked at it when it comes to modern churches, they don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Okay. Well, you need to be very open and honest about everything, So that's one of the reasons why I agreed to come on here, is because, yeah, I'm letting you know I am a guy that I have thoughts, I have concerns. There's no doubt that this stuff exists. I'm not going to it doesn't exist. I'm very intrigued, but I'm going to stay far away and just watch you guys on TV on this. And look, the way you guys are going, you guys could very well be on TV one day. And I mean that sincerely.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
No problem. On the same token, yeah, as a Christian, I'm also going to say, hey guys, just be careful.
Exactly. And that's a good thing. Yeah, it's a caring approach too, man. It's like I even tell, Sean, Mikey, and them, I love those guys to death. It's just like, you guys are great. I mean, obviously they're more brave than I am when it comes to stuff. It doesn't mean like I'm scared of certain things. It's, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I don't feel comfortable with this, I'm going to step back, but I respect you guys enough to, what you're doing, I hope.
Well, see, I think with me and Mikey, I mean, we have different, views, I guess, but
yeah,
I think it's like him being agnostic. He thinks he can push the boundaries a little bit, which I know he even said that because we just had some interview for some website or whatever, and that's what he said on there. And for me, I guess going to being more skeptic, it's like, I don't know if I really 100% believe, that something's going on. Like I've seen a lot of shit. I've heard a lot of shit, but I still don't know. Like when I look back on stuff, it's like, that was pretty weird, but
yeah,
there's always an exclamation. Yeah.
So do you think there's ever going to be a day? I mean, you guys are definitely exploring more and doing more, and there's no doubt in my mind that there's going to be a day, because let me backtrack here too. Okay, so let's just say a lot of these places that you're visiting, okay, a lot of other people have visited there too. So if I was a spirit, whether good or evil, and I'm hanging around there, all right, here's another paranormal.
Usually it's like that, but there's been a couple of places that other people haven't been. Like Lori, Lori actually was down at the soldier thing today, I think, wasn't she? She was supposed to go down.
Yeah.
Well, we did a cleansing of her daughter's house because she thinks there's something there. So that's like That's never been explored. And we actually did the pickle jar, which I think we were only the second team to go in there.
Okay.
And the place actually burned down, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But there's a
Wow.
couple locations we've been that haven't had other people there, you know.
And that's kind of what I was going to say is there's probably a lot of places that's like, all right, if I'm scared, okay, here we go again, whatever. All right. But on the same token, there's probably going to be those places that, you're kind of fresh and ripe into it. And the more, I guess what I was getting at is the more you guys get into this and the more you become recognized, and from, talking to you and Jen, it definitely sounds like you guys are starting to get up there. I mean, you're starting to really mingle with some of the top tier, the whatever brothers, I guess at one of your conferences, and they were hanging out with you. And
Ghost Brothers, I think. Was that
maybe? I think that's what it was.
Yeah, we weren't really hanging out with them. We met the Ghost Brothers. They're really cool.
Well,
nice guys.
But I guess if they're saying they're recognizing you and there's and all that, you're working your way up. Okay. There's going to be an opportunity there where eventually you're going to be able to start diving into more unique places because certain owners of these buildings or whatever are going to be like, okay, you guys are legit. You guys aren't just whatever. And that's where it's going to be super exciting, but maybe even more scary because of that. And that's where you get set to be really equipped. Yeah. On the same token, that's where you can really start learning. And I guess my point being is, are you prepared when you, Sean, are faced with something that is straight up hardcore real? There is no way whatsoever to debunk it. As a matter of fact, you may be getting attacked, that kind of a thing. That's where you have to kind of prepare yourself. Now, I know, and it's cool. I've talked to Jen beforehand, and she's like, she will a lot of times pray for you guys and that kind of stuff beforehand. And I'm a firm believer. Power of prayer is an amazing thing.
That's what I do. I mean, I try at least.
But again, no matter what, going back to you're tickling the dragon, and so that's the big thing for you, Sean. I'm going to say is, definitely, even though it hasn't happened yet, there's going to be that time. As a DJ, I'll give you an example. At one point in my career, I was doing 40 some weddings a year. Okay. And so many of them were amazing. And you would always hear these crazy bad stories of experiences. I've got news for you. Over my course of the years, I have finally experienced a couple crazy, insane situations, and you're never prepared for it the way you think you'd be prepared for it. I've literally had one time a bride and groom, the Hotel Wyndham downtown. I was at Hilton back then, but literally the bride and groom fought a couple minutes before we're supposed to end. He sweeps her off her feet, brings her onto the lip of the floor, and it's a raised dance floor. His feet fall from underneath him, and they both fall flat onto the floor. He finds she's passed out. What do you do? I've heard about these situations, but until you're faced with it, oh crap! Here's another one. Again, wedding situation. What happens when the groom is banging the maid of honor in the coat room? You've heard these stories, okay? All of a sudden, it happened to me one time. What do you do? And you always hear all this stuff happens. Nah, it's never going to happen to me. Yeah, right. Guess what? It does happen. So that's the only thing I'm going to say. It's cool. And I appreciate the fact that you are a skeptic. That's good. I think that's actually a great thing. But you do have to ask yourself, in the heat of the battle, something, and it's going to happen because you guys are really taking off. There's no doubt about it. You're going to eventually go to some more hot zones, so to speak. And when that happens, what are you going to do when everything defies real logic and you're face to face with something real? Yeah. Something to think about.
Well, I mean, that's part of the reason I do it, though, is I do want something to happen. That's why I guess I am no fear. It's just I want something to happen. I want to see something
right.
Right.
I don't want to be thrown.
Where'd that go?
Uh-oh.
Oh, we lost that.
Yeah.
Stand by.
Uh-oh. He's like, oh shit. It's cold in my apartment.
I heard his phone. I don't know if that was his phone dying because I heard it make a sound. Oh, there he is. He's back.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Did your phone die or?
Okay. But no, yeah, you got a good point. You know what you remind me of, Sean? You remind me of like the 18-year-old who's passing by the Marine Corps recruitment station. Hey, we want you. You got no fear. That's what we want. You know. I mean, that's cool. Hey, like I said, I have nothing but admiration for you guys. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. It's just awesome. And, and I appreciate you guys just even allowing me to be a part of it.
Oh, yeah, man, always.
Because it's cool. Because, I mean, the thing is will somebody ask me, hey, do I believe in this stuff? Absolutely. Why? I've had experiences. And it's just some crazy, crazy stuff. So, and there's, to me, again, trying to be scientific and thinking, okay, analytical, no, I have nothing to explain to it. There has to be paranormal, so yeah, so you guys are diving into some stuff that's just really cool,
See, I would love to do an episode where it's like a panel where it's like you and maybe like say Henry, Carol's husband, he's a pastor.
Yeah.
And then get a couple people from the other side. Like I know people that are more into the dark stuff and Wiccans and Satanists and stuff like that. I think it would be cool to do an episode together.
Absolutely. Because, I would take the approach, and I'm going to say this right now. And I have Christian friends who, and I've had these discussions. I'm like, you can't force God on anybody. You can't. No, because that's the case. I mean, it's like me being told, okay, here's a prime example. Again, I'm just using an analogy, but it's a true real life. When my wife starts harping on me on something, I got news for you. That's probably, I'm less likely to do it because you're just harping it on me, I'm
too familiar with that one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But hey, it's just here. This is my experiences. This is my suggestions, and that's how you have to approach it. So when it comes to what you're saying there, I'm all for that because, hey, if I can, make an impression, and even if that discussion hits home 20 years from now, I did my job, so I would love that, and on the same token, here's the other token why I would appreciate that too. Do I have any friends who are Satanists? Absolutely not. And for me, just kind of like how you guys are learning and wanting to explore, I'm the same way. Why are you a Satanist? Why do you like that? I want to know because it's going to help me better understand somebody like yourself. So then I can be better equipped to talk to you in the future. So,
right.
I would welcome that. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And I think, Carol's husband, he's an actual pastor. So he's probably
the one that married me and John.
Oh, yeah. So I think, where I'm just starting to read the Bible and learning things, he's probably a lot more well-versed. He could probably sit there right now and start quoting all kind of crazy scripture.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm going to be like, okay, I remember the story. Hold on. Let me okay, where is it at here? You know what I mean? So that would be cool because, I mean, I would look up to him, just going, yeah, that's what he said. You know what I mean?
We also had a best-selling author who's a Christian writer on our podcast before too.
Yeah. M.R. Gorga, wonderful guy.
But that's the way, I think that's the approach, what someone like in my position should be. They should never be standoffish.
No.
And going back to even the subject of paranormal, churches, they're standoffish on it. They just don't want to talk about it. Why? I don't know. Like we're talking about paranormal. I'll give you another example that is not ghostly, but of another world. There was a girl that I was dating for a while in high school. We went up to the airport. Back when, pre 9/11, all that stuff, when you can pretty much do all kind of cool stuff. And there was a row, like a makeout row, so to speak, off of Flaugherty Run Road. And I'm telling you, as God is my witness, once again, right hand to God, we experienced a UFO. We literally seen a hovering craft, the shot beams of light down, no noise whatsoever, no no aviation blinking lights, and you knew something was going crazy when you started seeing the military police. Because, by the way, they do have the military police there, the 911 Air Wing. They're running around with their little jeeps, little beacons, and they're flashing lights and everything else. And eventually, here comes the Moon Township Police chasing us all out of the Makeout Row and all that. But I can say that, and now again, here's me going, okay, well, what it was there anything like that written in the Bible? And if you look in there, there is what they call Ezekiel's will. In the book of Ezekiel, they talk about there was this flying disc and that people witnessed and so forth. And it's interesting. Now, again, it's man created, but there's a lot of artist renditions where they were reading the description of it and then trying to draw it out on paper. It's a UFO, you know what I mean? So I always try to say that churches, Christianity in general, they want to shy away from that. I say, hey, if it's part of life, let's discuss it, and I think that's really important. And I think, again, that's why I support you guys, because I do know that you guys try to take it from more of a scientific standpoint. And Sean, as you being a little bit of a skeptic and and debunk things, that's even cooler. Yeah, because no, you're not going to just believe in the hype. You want to, this could be this could be that, or whatever. So you really are trying to take it from that scientific approach, which I think is awesome.
Well, Phil knows, and I ain't trying to call anybody out in particular, but some members on our team will go in a room and be like, "Oh, I feel something. Oh, do you hear that?" Like,
yeah.
I'm just like, that's just a rock falling in the fireplace.
Yeah, exactly.
or
the room feels really heavy, but it's like, well, look at the type of place you're actually in.
Yeah, you're in the attic and it's 90 degrees. I wonder
why. And that can be with anybody too. I mean, like, I go into a certain place that's notorious for being dark. I'm like, I don't feel anything at all. I mean, I don't have the sensitivities that other people do. I guess I go in there from a more humanistic mind, if that's the right way of putting it. Then I'm more open. I want something to happen. I'm just like, walking in,
right,
cool, I don't know. I just like
that's like going off the whole fireplace thing. When we were at Bel Air the other day, we kept hearing these little clicks in the fireplace and it kind of was like responding to what we were asking. Like it would, do 1 click, 2 clicks, stuff like that. But I even said, and it's on the video, I'm like, I don't believe you're anything right now. Like, you got to give me more than that. Like, I just hear rocks falling in a fireplace.
Right.
And nothing else happened. So, you know.
And if they really wanted to prove themselves, and, they're going to say, hey, it's me. Right.
Right. Exactly.
And going off what you were saying, too, about feelings and heavy and all this stuff, too. It's like, oh, yeah, your stomach's cramping up. No, that's probably that burrito you ate in the afternoon.
He must know how we eat. Yeah, for sure.
That's exactly right, man. Like, you give me like pizza or like freaking something.
Brussels sprouts.
Oh, dude. Oh, God.
We all made Brussels sprouts at one time. We all had gas like the whole night.
And I was outside having a cigarette with one of our other members, April, and then I just let one rip, and it was loud. Mikey thought Sean did it. And
I was sitting in the kitchen, yeah. Shook the house.
Now, see, that would be the perfect TikTok thing for Joe.
Yes.
Wait a minute, I see that mist in the air. That mist. No, man, that's Sean Spark.
I felt proud of that. That was a good moment of glory there. That's pretty awesome.
Shook the whole house.
That was great.
The cool thing is you guys do go to some really, really cool places. I will tell you, though, there's no doubt one thing that freaks me out is anytime that Jen does anything with any freaking dolls, man. That freaks me out. I don't care what that. Nope.
I'm just not a doll person. I mean, I just don't find them scary. I'm like, I don't know. I'm weird.
I stayed in Emily's room before, which is all dolls or whatever.
I'm sorry. Look. Your typical Cabbage Patch doll can freak me out, man. You know what I mean?
Which there was. You remember, Phil, when we were at ISS, there was a Cabbage Patch doll on the steps in the administration building.
There was. That was weird. That was really weird.
We were at Indiana State Sanatorium a couple weeks ago, and in the administration building, on the one staircase, there was just like a Cabbage Patch doll laying on the steps. I don't know where it came from. We did get a lot of stuff on those steps too, because we had a REM pod set up, which is, the thing with the antenna and the blinky lights.
Right.
And then we had, I think we had a K2 and a flashlight, and we got a lot of intelligent stuff with the REM pod. Like Troy kept asking, like, are you getting annoyed by us asking you questions? It would go off. It's like, do you want us to leave? Then it would go off. And then we hear something in the other room. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff, but like I said, I don't know. It could be coincidental too, though, you know?
See, that's the hard part. That's the skeptic in you, which is cool, which I definitely get. But man, there's going to be that time one day where it's going to be just like spot on.
Well, I want to see like a full apparition, which I mean, I think I did see one when I was a kid, because I don't know if I told you a story or not, but back when I was a kid, when we first moved into the house that I grew up in, me and my brother were in the dining room. We were building with mini bricks, and my dad was in the living room. And me and my brother both, who's 6 years older than me, I was little. We moved in that house when I was 4, so I was probably like 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there. And he was 10, 11, 12, but that's more of a respectable age to remember something like this.
Right.
And he still swears to this day that he saw it too. But like the way my house was set up, there's like a hallway, living room, dining room. Then there's this little cubby where the basement was, and then it goes in the kitchen, like kind of like there was a door too. So it was like kind of like a servant's quarters, I guess, because there's like a swinging door in the one doorway. And me and my brother both saw a guy in a trench coat standing in front of the basement door. And we went and told my dad. My dad looked through the house, didn't find anything. And the funny thing is, years down the line, I went to a psychic, and the psychic was telling me there was something in my basement. So like, it's kind of weird that she she didn't know anything about that. And that's the first time I think I ever really had like a paranormal experience,
Wow.
And like I said, I'm guessing it was a full apparition, but it's also too, like, I was a little kid. So, like it's
so
looking
okay,
back on it,
So let me ask you this question then. Based off of that, okay, you actually had a chance to witness something like that, and you say you're still a skeptic. So I'm gonna put the question on you. Do you believe there is actual ghosts?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's just like too many people have seen them before, like throughout history, and I mean, that even goes like, are you talking about aliens, like going off of that, or even like Bigfoot, or I mean, they say Bigfoot, could be, what is it, the giant Pithecus, whatever, some type of giant ape. Like it could, that's one of the theories. It could be that, or even if you say like the Loch Ness monster is supposed to be like a plesiosaurus or whatever, just know, like there's explanations for everything. But yeah, I believe in ghosts. I just don't. I mean, what the whole definition of paranormal is something that can't be explained. So
yeah. Which that's the reason why you're doing it. You're just you're trying to be inquisitive about it too and everything. So okay. Let me ask you, Phil, why did you get into this, man?
You know what? I don't know. Like, I've always thought this subject was very fascinating. Actually, my first love for even like creepy stuff was my mother taking me to a haunted house, like you jump out, go boo, wear the face paint kind of thing.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that was my first introduction to actual scary stuff. And of course I would always sneak over to my childhood best friend's house to watch like a horror film. But, I don't know, like I've had some family experiences, and I think with me, the thing I get excited about most is obviously the people that I'm with whenever I'm doing something like this and going to these really cool places that are notorious for having hauntings. And of course it's always cool whenever you get like responses. However, it could be coincidental. You're not sure. But, I don't know. I always thought it was one of those types of subjects that, for one, it really sparks up a good conversation with people. Because you're like, I'm a paranormal investigator. What? Wait, tell me more.
It's crazy how many people are so like accepting of it too.
Yeah,
you think people would think you're like nuts, but usually they'll like start telling you a story about something that happened to them,
And the funny thing is too, like and even Sean and Mikey can agree to this too. Like, I'm one of the ones that is always very like, I don't want to be necessarily touched if I'm in a haunted location to prove that something is there, because if somebody else is experiencing it, or if I'm hearing it with my ears, to me that's just as beneficial as being touched. It's just like, you could see something from a mile away but never actually come into contact with it. Right. It's like, wow, I can still see this with my own two eyes. That to me is just enough evidence. Like, wow, okay, well, I'm never going to actually be able to physically touch you, but that's quite all right. Maybe you weren't meant to be touched. You just want to be noticed, kind of thing too. And I think that's pretty cool too. And I don't know, it's like Sean's, and you even said it's actually cool going to all these locations. And I don't know, I just like scary stuff. I do, but I have a really, very fond respect for it. Like, I don't really deal with the demonic for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Because to me, I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. I think I respect it too much, and I know there is bad stuff out there. There's also good stuff out there too, and plus, I don't have enough expertise to deal with certain things, so I kind of just like step back a little bit too and allow the experts to handle that stuff. But I've always liked it. Like, I mean, Sean can agree to this. One of my favorite places to go to is Hillview Manor, Carnegie Library of Homestead. I love those places, and I've had things happen there too. It's really, really cool because it's so unorthodox to what everybody else is doing with their everyday life. It's like, while I'm at home watching a movie, my friends, seeing if he catches anything on the spirit box. You just don't hear people saying it all the time. It's really neat.
It's basically like playing like Scooby-Doo in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're on an adventure,
you're basically a detective. Like, why is this happening? And that's how I kind of feel about it too. I'm the cheap detective because I don't buy all the fancy stuff. But it's just cool. It's just, and the whole the congregational aspect of it too. It's like we have so many friends.
Phil, who bought those headphones and that microphone you're using?
He did buy them, and I did give him the money for it.
He gave me the money for it.
No, I do like these a lot. I really, really do. And but yeah, it's fun to do, and I do believe that there is something out there too, and I've had experiences in my life. Like, good example. Sorry to be a motor mouth, but whenever my grandfather's second youngest brother, he was one of four. Tom is his name. He passed away from prostate cancer, I believe. He was really, really big into God, not from the religious standpoint, but the more like follower of Christ. Okay. The nicest guy you'd ever meet in your entire life. Well, I think the day that he passed, I forget what time it was, but my grandfather, his older brother, and the youngest brother, as well as the deceased brother's wife and their 3 or 4 children, all got phone calls on the exact same time of that exact same day from their own home. They picked up the actual call, and there was nobody on the other side. It all happened at the exact same time. And my dad said, it's like, yeah, you can't do that in the digital world. My dad's a genius when it comes to electronics. Okay. And we think it was my pap's youngest brother, we called him Grand Uncle Bill, was telling him, I made it home. I'm okay. It was weird. That doesn't happen. That's weird.
Right.
Yeah. It's because I do believe, God will make certain things known, that other people can't explain, but we can. It's like, hey, I'm watching you kind of thing. And another example, my grandfather, he passed away, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 years ago. He had like every known form of cancer you could possibly imagine. It was crazy, but he loved Johnny Cash. It's either Johnny Cash or Dean Martin, one of the two. Well, my dad's youngest brother, Uncle Dennis, he and his wife and kids went to the grave to have a few beers because my pap was really big into drinking the American Light. That's like the low totem pole light beer. And
like the
they
Mad Dog of beer.
Yeah. It's not bad. And I guess they brought a boombox to sit on top of the gravestone. They started playing some music, and the music stopped, and then a Dean Martin or a Frank Sinatra kicked on, and it played all the way through. And then all of a sudden, the song that they had played previously began to play again like nothing ever happened. Or they were like, holy crap, that is weird.
Wow.
I mean, it could have been coincidental, but something like that at that exact same day on top of my grandfather's gravestone. I mean,
yeah,
I definitely think the whole music thing, because I mean, Phil, some of my experiences with music too, but just
100%.
Like my mom's ringtone used to be House of the Rising Sun.
Oh yeah.
And like, I'll always hear, like when we were leaving Hillview the one time, me and Jen got in the car, that song came on the radio. It's like anytime, like it's like that'll pop up. Like even, I'm not going to name the person because it's a client, but who I'm talking about. One of the guys I used to take, little guy, bald guy. Ed.
Okay. Yeah.
I was over their house recently because like I went over to visit them or whatever. Like I don't have them anymore, but I still hang, like I'm still friends with them.
Right.
And we were talking about my mom, and she had the oldies on, and House of the Rising Sun came on. And I was like, that's weird because we're just talking about her and it comes on the radio,
Oh yeah.
It's like, sometimes it's just so hard to describe, to talk off those coincidences. And again, it could just be a coincidence, but
you just never know.
Yeah. No, you're right.
And I think a lot of us too, like, we can always just unintentionally be at the right place at the right time. That's just, it could happen.
Right.
And, and not to, dig too much into it. I mean, because obviously not everybody that we interview is a believer. That's just how it is.
Right.
we love all passive life. If you're awesome to us, we'll be awesome to you.
That's why it's called Exploring Your Society. We try to just have everybody and anybody.
Right.
And you know what? And we always want to know, like, why does God do certain things the way he does? I don't think any of us are meant to know until the day that we are actually face to face with him. If you, of course, are a believer, and maybe there's certain things that it's not our time to know yet. Maybe we still have our training pants on, or we're still riding our tricycle, because let's be honest. I mean, we think we know it all. We don't.
No.
I mean,
and the people you got to stay away from is the people that think they know it all.
Oh, I hate those.
You know, and there is. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And
but that's why I said I just, man. I mean, it is. You guys are really diving into something that's just, I mean, really cool, crazy, creative, all of that. You know, there you go. Cool, crazy, creative. You know?
Triple C.
But you know, it is definitely cool without a doubt. You know,
and I'll say this too, like, since being a part of something like this, I mean, Sean and I, we became friends through a haunted house that we work at, and I consider him a brother till the very end. Same with Mikey and everybody else. Like, I love all of them to death. I mean, we have a fun time. That's another thing too. We like to have fun. We all have personalities. Some of us are weirder than others.
I don't think you're the weirdest though, Phil.
No, I'm actually pretty normal compared to everybody else. Like, a lot of my friends think like, "Oh, you're probably some weird." Like, no, I'm actually pretty boring.
I think April's whole thing this past weekend was kind of weird.
Dude, don't even get me started on that. Holy shit, that was.
I gotta hear about. I gotta talk. I gotta meet this April one day. Like, April, really? You know, I'm hearing all this about you.
It was interesting.
Yeah, she's cool, and that's the thing too. Like, I mean, all of us, you know, you end up coming out of your comfort zone with certain things, which I always admire. You know,
she actually opened up this weekend.
She did
good, because like usually she doesn't participate as much, but
yeah.
She let her flag fly, I guess.
Really fly. Holy hell. I've met drunk people that actually look sober compared to
100%.
But
I tell you who does crack me up, and Sean, I mean this 100%. Your wife, Jen. Oh my God.
She is amazing. I love Jen so much.
Is just, you know, but
she's all right.
And I'm going to say this is what she's doing for your group, I guess, just through TikTok and these crazy wacky videos is funny and amazing, because I think Sean, you and I have talked about it the one day. I think we were at that the deck hockey rink in South Park. We were talking, you know, and you got these shows that are, you know, these guys, the narrator, he talks like this, he's real serious, you know. And all that stuff. And I mean, obviously it works because, I mean, they're on TV like that and everything. Yeah. But, you know, I think bringing the funny, wacky, lighthearted stuff, which there's no doubt your wife is fantastic at. You know, I love it because you're bringing in a whole entire different dynamic to it, which is huge. You know, seeing like, okay, here's, you know, you guys are doing the Beetlejuice dance going down the staircase. I just seen that the other day.
Did you see us all doing the cha-cha slide too?
That was cool.
We were all doing the cha-cha slide. Did you see that video too?
No, maybe no. I don't think I did actually. Oh, okay. I have to check that out. It just cracks me up. And here, I mean, you guys are like in these legit, you know, haunted places supposedly, and she's like, okay, hey, we're gonna do this, you know. But it's great because I think it's bringing a completely different dynamic.
Well, I think the whole fun and energy and just like bringing it to a building, I think changes everything for the spirits too. You know, I think it ups the energy and everything, you know, the activity and everything else.
Well, yeah, you got a good point, because going back to what I said about like, okay, here's another paranormal people. And then they've probably never experienced like, wait a minute. Guys are freaking lying.
Yeah, they don't want to talk to us. We're the weird ones or whatever.
Hey, you know,
that's cool. That's definitely cool. You know, guys, I just want to say thank you, Sean. I really appreciate the invite. You know, I knew just by talking to you that like, hey, I know that I can just be myself and say, yeah, here's all these experiences. Yeah, I'm a Christian. Here's some different thoughts and concerns, but you know, not being judged by it or anything like that. So no, I really just appreciate the opportunity. Man.
Yeah, is there anything you want to promote or anything, Big Ed?
No, not really. I mean, you know, no, not really. You know, I'm just me. So hey, if you're looking for a DJ and just want to have fun, you can check out DJ Big Ed of Pittsburgh. Outside of that, no, man. I mean, I'm just that and okay, here we go. check out who Christ is. He's really cool. You know, you know?
I agree with that. I agree with that.
I would just definitely like to say though. I mean, hey, if you're new to bump in the night, you know, follow them, man. I mean, these guys are great, and obviously, just
so
talking
much,
to you guys, you know, you guys are legit, but you're doing it for fun. You know, you're doing it for fun. On the same token, what you guys are doing, truthfully, if you keep doing what you're doing, you might go far with this. You know,
I hope so.
I know you do. I know, you know. So
I'd rather
keep
just
doing what
quit
you're
my
doing,
real
man.
job and do this full time. Podcasts and hunt paranormal. It's just conventions, all that stuff. That's what I live for.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So
I spread the love. I like my job. I like all sorts of stuff. You know, it's just to me, it's like this is fun. I haven't reached the point I want to make this a career. Although I say that now, and I know it's going to probably end up happening soon. You know, to me, it is fun. It really is. It just makes life more interesting. You know, my life used to be boring, but now it's not. You know.
Well, I will finish out with this. Going back to that whole entire career thing and all that. Look, you're just talking from experience as a DJ. And by all means, I am not any special DJ out there, but you know, if you do a good job, you're going to start getting recognized. And that's even a DJ, any kind of industry. If you are an exceptional carpenter, okay, you're going to get a lot of business. If you are a legit great mechanic who's not raking people over the coals and really figuring out stuff, you're going to get a reputation. And it's amazing how things can expedite and blossom so quickly based upon that, especially now with, here we go, podcasts and everything else. So, you know, where people could be watching this right now, you know, over in Europe if they wanted to. I mean, that's what's so amazing about electronic distribution. So, you know, the word gets out there, you know, and if these owners of these places, you know, say, okay, hey, here's these people. They are professional. They're legit. They're not doing it for nefarious reasons. They're good people, but oh yeah, they actually like to have fun too. I'm interested. I'll have them come down because you know why? We get all these crazy experiences that we just can't explain. It's going to happen, you know, and that's kind of, I guess, what I'm leaving you guys with is the fact that, you know, you guys are doing it, you know, just be careful. That's the big thing, you know, just be careful of tickling of the dragon. You know, that is probably my only concern is just be careful. You know, and I'm sure I told that many of times beforehand, but yeah, that is my only fear is the fact that taking it from a guy not on the paranormal side, but just trying to follow Christ. Hey, you know what? I know I got more arrows being flung at me, you know, and just be careful because that could very well happen to you guys. But on the same token, I think, you know, how you can be careful is if you're taking a more of a scientific approach. I think that's really important. And I will say, making sure that everybody on your team and or people that eventually become on your team, because that's your team's going to probably grow over time, that they're not doing it for nefarious reasons. They're not trying to tickle the dragon's tail and trying to call upon some crazy, you know, spirit, demon, whatever. You know, if you know, scientific reasons, I think you'll be absolutely. So, but no, man, outside of that, you guys, it was great, Phil. It was great to finally get a chance to meet you.
Thank you so much,
seriously, man. Sean, like always, man, you're awesome, man. And
Nice.
no problem. Thank you. So thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming on. And I mean, if you ever do want to come out with us sometime, you know, it's always available.
I certainly will. You know, maybe one day if it's just a cool place history wise, I might, you know, but yeah. But first thing I got to do, I definitely got to lose some weight here for that. You know, definitely. I want to be able to. I don't think it'd be a good idea to say, okay, Sean, you know, look, man, I got to sit down for a bit. I'm just, no, I got to be able to say, hey, we're walking those 2 miles around the ground. Okay, let's do it. You know, so I definitely got to do that. But you never know. Maybe one day. Who knows?
That'd be cool.
Hey, brother.
Like
Hell
I said, if
yeah,
we do
man.
that panel episode too, I'll get in contact with you.
The panel episode, I would definitely be very much interested in. Absolutely.
I'll
So,
look into that.
yeah, please keep me in mind for that. And hey, if you ever want to shoot the breeze again, man,
For
I'm
sure.
definitely down with that too. So,
Awesome.
Love
Thanks
it,
for
man.
coming on, Ed.
oh, thank you.
Awesome.
You guys have yourselves a great evening.
Thanks. You too.
Take
All
care,
right,
brother, man.
bye-bye.
See you, man.
See ya.
Bye bye.
Thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can find us here, and here, and here. Don't forget, everybody needs a little bump in the night.